Well, that's really true. Now, did you hear the soundbite I played coming back out of the break of, yeah, Meghan McCain, like for sure. I don't think it's fair for gays not to be able to be out when they're in the military. Did you hear me playing that soundbite?
I did
want to
hear
talk
that.
about Don't Ask, Don't Tell a bit with you. It's interesting that, of course, now we have a segment coming up on the show from the Criticulator. We have a guy on our show called the Criticulator, and he's here to, in a futile attempt to insulate me from accusations of racism because he's black enough to criticulate Barack Obama. But he's also a military veteran, and he's quite upset about this Don't Ask, Don't Tell thing, and we're going to hear from him about that. But I see you've got a post here at Legal Insurrection, and you're just joining us. We're listening to Professor William Jacobson, law professor at Cornell, and the author of one of the leading conservative politics and law blogs, Legal Insurrection. And here at Legal Insurrection, you've got something here about Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and you point out something that, of course, I know you'll be shocked to hear this, most members of the superficial mainstream media haven't pointed out at all, which is with the enactment of this legislation that just passed, it doesn't really require the military to allow open service. We're really going back to the old policy, right?
That's right. I mean, that's the interesting thing about the celebrations that you see and the way the media is portraying it and the way the Democrats are portraying it is that now gays can serve openly in the military, and that is flat out not true. The actual remember, all they did is repeal another law. They didn't pass a new law which says, starting tomorrow, gays can come out if they're in military service. All they've done is repeal the Clinton law, but it does not even take effect until certain benchmarks are made. Those benchmarks are laid out on my blog, but there have to be various reports that have to be issued. They have to have plans put in place. They have to be policies and regulations issued. There has to be a whole series of steps that have to take place. So oddly enough, what the Congress did is just punt this back to the military. Now, the military will come under a lot of political pressure. Robert Gates already has come out, in favor of this repeal. That's a political post, so anybody in that position is obviously going to be influenced by the White House. And so, it really hasn't overnight changed much other than removing a congressional hurdle. But now it's back in the military. It's essentially where it was before Bill Clinton. So if that is the great achievement, it's really, I think, being misconstrued and misportrayed by the media.
And I note here in your post, and you shared my disgust over the argument that was constantly made, which was, and Gates said this on some of the Sunday shows, we have to do this because otherwise we're going to face a judicially imposed policy, and the chance of that happening was very slim. So that argument seems so specious to me.
Yeah, well, that's just a way of saying I don't want to actually have to take a position on this, and I don't want to actually have to deal with the possible consequences that might happen because we have to do this, otherwise some judge will make us do it. And to me, just substantively, that was an extremely weak argument. The judge who ruled, I forget even what state it was in, who ruled and threw out the Don't Ask, Don't Tell law, the circuit court immediately granted a stay of that. So I think everybody understood that it was not good for the judiciary to be meddling in the military's internal policies, and that was something best left either to Congress or to the military. So to me, to come in and say, well, somebody would have made us do it anyway, really was just a punt on the issue, and I think it was just a very, very convenient way of saying, that's why we can't wait till the new Congress. That's why we have to do it right away. Another one of these emergency situations where something can't wait because otherwise a judge might make us do it, and it won't be, done in the way we want.
Oh, my God. I can't. I guess this is all the result of the left's 40 or 50-year project to dumb down the population through the public schools. And I went to government school, so, maybe I'm an example too. But it's shocking, the things that people will fall for. Now, I know that you are a big fan of Sarah Palin's Alaska. As I read your blog and you talk about it, is that in fact true? You are a fan?
Yeah, I am. I think it's been pretty good. I think that... time will tell whether it's a little bit of overexposure. I mean, to the extent I would have a criticism of it, I think is it overexposure? But I don't think substantively it's a problem. It's what it is. And I guess my point would be, I think the biggest criticism she's come over is for that episode when Kate Gosselin was on, and I understand that criticism. But I guess my response would be, spending a weekend with a TV crew with Kate Gosselin is somehow disqualifies you from running for president, but sitting for 20 years in Jeremiah Wright's church doesn't. That makes no sense to me.
This could be the clip of the day. This could be the Terry O'Brien Show clip of the day. I like that. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Hey, did you see her on Good Morning America with Robin Roberts talking about the caribou incident on the show?
No, I didn't see that clip.
Oh, well,
I saw the caribou. I didn't see that appearance.
Yeah, well, this character, and to be fair, I like some of his work. I didn't like his show, The West Wing, which I called The Left Wing for obvious reasons, but there's some of the things that he wrote, this Aaron Sorkin character. Well, apparently, like Malice, I think he wrote that movie, which I did like. But, he apparently in one of his intervals between visits and stints in rehab apparently is talking smack about Sarah Palin. Let's take a listen. I'll have you react. Robin Roberts talking, and notice right at the end, Professor, and all the listeners, notice right at the end how Sarah Palin, in this charming, delightful way she has, she really puts Mr. Sorkin in his place.
You've heard the outrage, the caribou.
Here he comes. Just wait, he's coming.
So some of the lower 48 would say, why'd she shoot Rudolph? No, it's not a reindeer, it's a caribou. Aaron Sorkin, I know, Hollywood producer, who calls it a snuff film, that there are just some people that see this and see the high-powered rifle and going, really?
Yeah, I think he's got some of those high-powered rifles in some of his movies and TV shows, though, and I think those are aimed at human beings. Mine is aimed at dinner, so there's a little, is his name Alan or
Aaron?
Aaron. I've been calling him Alan.
Sarah Palin from ABC's Good Morning America on Friday. Aaron Sorkin, I've been calling him Alan. And did you notice there, too, the typical, like, in the Beltway or coastal, like the parentheses on the East and the West Coast, and forgive me, I know you're on the East Coast, but in a lot of these areas outside of the real America, there's just a horror over the prospect of any kind of a firearm, just the horror at even the thought of a firearm, illustrated there perfectly by Robin Roberts.
Well, I did read Aaron Sorkin's piece when it came out, and it really was, fairly unhinged, calling it a snuff film, et cetera, and excusing his own consumption of meat and saying it was a very different thing because she got pleasure from shooting this animal. He doesn't get pleasure from the killing of the animal, which to me seems like another one of these cop-outs. I mean, he gets pleasure from eating the animal the caribou was not killed in an inhumane way. There was, so if he were a vegan and he wanted to criticize it, that would be one thing. But, he's a meat consumer, and so he's criticizing hunting as a means of procuring meat. That didn't make a lot of sense to me.
He's also been, and I don't know the degree to which it's still true, but he's admitted that he was also a very enthusiastic cocaine consumer for some time. So, that can do brain damage, I think, in my opinion. And so
and I'm sure he was very concerned when he was doing that about all the deaths in Mexico and Colombia from cocaine production and transportation. And
that's a great point. That's a great point. You get the bell. That's such a great point. Yes, that's such a great, once again, just illustrating the complete disconnect from reality that is experienced by so many of these people on the left. Well, Professor Jacobson, it has been so awesome to have you on the Teri O'Brien Show. And
Great.
I will continue to enthusiastically read Legal Insurrection, and people go to legalinsurrection.com, check it out. It's always full of interesting posts, things, because it is a law and politics blog, you do get a lot of information there that you wouldn't necessarily get on just conservative political blogs, because you do talk a lot about legal issues in a little bit more analytical, interesting way, not the superficial treatment that they get in the mainstream media. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for giving us part of your Sunday.
Great. Take care.
Take care, Professor Jacobson. Professor William Jacobson is a law professor at Cornell, and he is the publisher of Legal Insurrection. We're going to take a brief break. We are going to go to the phones at 347-838-8799. We are